The minute crooked Joe Biden shuffles out the door, I will rapidly rebuild the greatest economy, the history of the world. Look, we had the greatest economy in history. Everybody here, where you have a small business or if you had a job, you were getting more than you ever made. And we had no inflation. We had no 1.4%, considered none, considered better than none, because frankly, none in its own way is a bad thing also. We had a perfect number, 1.4%. It doesn't matter whether you're black or brown or white or whatever the hell color you are. It doesn't matter. We are all Americans, and we're going to pull together as Americans.
Hey, it's me, and welcome to this longer video. You know, I talked about Steve Bannon in a couple of videos in the past, and it's because I am usually right with these things. And just recently, Steve Bannon let the mask slip a little bit and revealed that he's at war with conservatives. And he was saying how conservatives never do anything. And, you know, you would expect to hear that from people on the left. But he is claiming that he's not on the left. He's now claiming that he's a populist nationalist. Now, for years, he's been saying, I'm a populist, and Trump is a populist. But no, Trump is not a populist. But he is. So is Alex Jones. So is Ron Paul. And so is Bernie Sanders. And they're always talking the talk of revolutionaries, right? Very left-wingy. And Steve Bannon is still doing that to this day. Always like, we got to tear everything down. And what is he even talking about? He's not a MAGA shot caller. He's just some guy with a show. But he is always high on his own farts. And Jack Daniels, I guess. And God knows what else. That he starts to believe his own crap. And it's kind of annoying because a lot of people think that he's really in the inner circle with President Trump. But he's not. He's not. Nobody in the Trump family trusts Steve Bannon. And you can understand why. I mean, this was the guy telling Trump not to fire James Comey, one of the key leaders of the coup, the Russiagate scandal. And he's been promoting RFK Jr., an ultra-left-wing loon, for 2 years now, causing all this damage that now the Trump campaign has to make such an effort just to let people know, no, RFK Jr. is not a good guy. He's not one of us. And a lot of that is because of Steve Bannon. And even though he's always talking about the CCP and pretending he's all against China, what is the first thing he did after he got fired like a dog from the White House? He went to Hong Kong, China. Yeah. Not to Beijing, but to Hong Kong. What does that mean? Well, that's where you go when you want to meet communists, but on the down low, so that nobody knows, right? Oh, I just went to Hong Kong. And he got financing. Suddenly he's palling around with a Chinese billionaire. And you know the rest. And now he's got this Asian sidekick. I mean, what the hell is going on with this guy, right? Midlife crisis? I don't know. But now he's reinventing himself again, saying he's a populist nationalist. Now, who else was a populist nationalist? Oh yeah, Adolf Hitler. But besides that, President Trump is not a populist. You know, he wasn't there sitting in his sofa thinking, oh, the forgotten men and women, I got to run for president. No, he was seeing the nation in decline, and he decided to run. You know, that and the Iran deal, how Choco Mbogo is destroying our nation. And he just so happens to come up with a lot of policies that are America first, which means that he knows, because of his experience, that the working class, they're the backbone of our nation. And the elites in Washington, the rhinos, they never care about ordinary people, right? They pretend they do, but they don't. But President Trump really came up with the right policies to appeal to people across the board. So we're talking about the wealthy, corporations, but also the working class and everybody in between. And now it's expanding, because the MAGA now is like 100 times stronger than the MAGA of 2016. And part of that is People have seen what Trump can do. And when it comes to security, when it comes to the economy, he's a man that they can trust because he's done it. He's capable. They know it. And even though a lot of people don't like Trump, they do know and respect that he is good at working, making the economy better, and being very strong on security. And he's a patriot. So you know he's going to do the right thing. Now, America First and MAGA has been hijacked by people. You have that one group with Steve Bannon. They're pretending MAGA is some kind of a fascist or Leninist movement that is populist. It ain't. It's a conservative movement. But conservatism now, it includes a lot of liberal elements, just like it did in 1776. Freedom of speech, the Second Amendment. And we're talking about freedoms, lesser government. We're talking about stopping needless wars. And that appeals to a lot of people on the left, as you can understand. But the left in the USA now is fascist. The Biden-Harris regime is a fascist regime. And yes, on the street level, there's a lot of communism, but these are really fascist. And so you have a lot of disaffected liberals, like classic liberals, that still believe in freedoms, that they don't know where to turn to. And so Trump is becoming the answer for many of them. That's why MAGA is so much stronger. The problem with populism, like what Bannon wants, what Bernie Sanders does, and these media people like Alex Jones, it's you appeal to a certain group of people. Ron Paul does the same. And it's like a club, and they act like they're a club, like a fraternity. If they win and get power, they often turn on the other population. So you haven't solved a thing, because you're just changing the actors in the play, or it's like a seesaw. And with that seesaw, you always have the uni party winning in the end, doing deals behind the scenes. And it's been like that for decades. What President Trump is bringing to the table is MAGA. And the real MAGA, not like what these pretenders are saying it is, or what the media is saying it is. The real MAGA is really a binding agent, a glue to unite all Americans, right? Regardless of color or income. And it's the opposite of what Obama did. Obama is a community organizer. And President Trump is an American patriot, a uniter, a unifier. And he is going out of his way. You know, sometimes he even tries to convert swampers or rhinos. You know, he gives everybody a chance, and some people are just, you know, a total loss. You know, they're so programmed or so corrupt that you can't do anything with them. But you have other people that are still talented. You know, you can use them. So it's about getting people that don't necessarily like you or they don't agree with you, but to have them walk in the right direction, to help the nation. And that's what many of these people like Bannon don't understand. You know, like I said, they're populist in the sense that they're fighting for a certain group of people, and then they don't like the other group of people. You know, that's called community organizing. And so it's always about fighting and revolution, and it's boring. You know, when I hear Steve Bannon talk, it's so boring. You know, it's so old school stupid. Old school stupid. That's Bannon. When I listen to President Trump, it's so fresh. And Trump is love. And it's about uniting. You know, I can really feel that. And of course, all of these people are really against it, especially the rhinos and the left wing. You can see the hatred in the media. They'll do anything. They'll call him anything. They'll unleash lawfare on him, because what they want is to prevent President Trump from uniting people, because it means many of these bureaucrats no longer have the same powers they now have, with puppets in office and a lot of low IQ individuals that are also compromised. Easy to run the show if the people in power are mere puppets. President Trump is an actual president And he works very hard. But he also has the wisdom. He also understands what our nation is all about, that you have to preserve or, conserve our traditions. And we're talking about our history. We have to accept it. It's all what made us what we are now, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But instead of canceling it, beheading statues or changing street names and calling for reparations or community organizing to put people up against each other, he's about uniting people, because we have the First Amendment, so people can say what they want. But the First Amendment is really about protecting speech that other people don't like. And that, of course, is what the left doesn't like. They want to speak, and they want other people to shut up. But President Trump is about freedom of speech. So you're going to have the arguments, but you can unite on the First Amendment. You can unite on the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, American patriotism, putting Americans first, and common sense. Some of these major pillars are what we have in common, all Americans, right? And that includes a strong border, sovereignty, and success. That is really what Trump said. His revenge will be success. Because there's no better way to show all of these people that they've been wrong. And the American people would then be able to see that they were wrong. And that there's a path for our nation to be very successful, for Americans to unite. And when that happens, when Americans unite, the power of that, it cannot even be calculated. It is so tremendous. And so if you have a Steve Bannon saying, okay, we have to get rid of everyone, we have to tear this down, we have to tear that down, there's some truth to reducing the size of government. Okay, I get that. I'm like for eliminating the Department of Education, for example. It's completely worthless. DHS isn't really necessary. And the FBI should be a law enforcement agency. They shouldn't be doing counter intel. These are simple things. But he's talking about tearing everything down like a revolution. That's not what we're doing. That's not MAGA. That's not what Trump is doing at all. He's about conserving our nation. And just imagine, I know it's difficult right now, but just imagine the DOJ and FBI doing what they're supposed to do, what they were meant to do, without any political bias, with competent people in charge. It would be awesome. We would all like it. I can promise you that. And that is possible. It is possible. But right now what you have is you have the most incompetent, corrupt, greedy, evil people being in charge in many of these departments. And it's destroying our nation. It's not just DEI, but we're talking about greedy people, also in Congress, So it's about putting us back on track and taking what we have, improving what we can, getting rid of what we cannot, hiring competent people, firing incompetent people, and just making sure that we adhere to our Constitution, the Bill of Rights, that we have a rule of law that has no special favor based on income or political leanings, that we stop the tremendous spying on Americans, and that we get rid of the fascists and the communists. That is something that you can get behind, because it's also un-American. These are like viruses and bacteria in our nation. The USA was not meant to host fascism or communism. That's so European-like, right? Let them have it. We don't want it. And that's why you see our nation rapidly declining, because what we have now is fascism. So President Trump is a conservative. In fact, he's more conservative than Ronald Reagan was. And his policies are more effective than those of Ronald Reagan. But Reagan, of course, benefited from the headaches of the 1970s, where the Democrats completely destroyed our nation. And once again, they're doing it. So you can imagine the gold mine, the tremendous success that we would have with the second Trump term. You cannot even describe it. And of course, all of these people, these bureaucrats, these cockroaches, they will not let it happen because it will show them up. You'll see that they've been ineffective, that they in fact were destroying the USA on purpose and just getting rich. So many people are getting paid by the Ukraine scam, and they don't even care if they're getting close to World War III. That's how irresponsible these people are, and what's going on with the kids and the men in sports. It's crazy. We're seeing craziness on top of the fascism. But so if you have somebody like Steve Bannon coming out attacking conservatives, he's in fact attacking President Trump. And he's coming out as a left-wingy guy seeking revolution. I mean, he should go sit with Bernie Sanders on a bench in a park, right? And let them talk about revolution. And they could invite Ron Paul and they could feed the pigeons. But get the hell out of MAGA, Steve. I mean, this guy is like poison to MAGA. And I know these people like Jack Poso Beach, Serno Beach, and even Roger Stone and Steve Bannon and a couple of other people. They're really trying to start up a MAGA X, which is MAGA without Trump, and not conservatism, but something else. I guess populist nationalism, which is not a good thing. And then you have other people also abusing America First. America First is really about putting the nation first, not about some ideology first or some race first. But that's what you have, right? You have a very amazing MAGA movement because of President Trump. Then the leeches come, right? And the grifters. And they're trying to chop it up, just like they chopped up the Tea Party. And guess who was one of the people helping to chop up the Tea Party, making it less effective? Steve Bannon and Glenn Beck. Yeah, that actually happened. These are people that helped the rhinos and the Uni Party to carve up the Tea Party, making it ineffective, really. And now Steve Bannon is trying to carve up MAGA. And he's community organizing. He's trying to divide MAGA into different factions, just like what he did with the Tea Party. But he's not going to succeed. As usual, Steve Bannon is being guided by Jack Daniels and Jim Beam. He's not thinking straight. President Trump also knows that this guy is such a mole. He could be a deep state mole. And he even knew that in 2017, so he never gave Bannon a real job. And he wasn't invited to the real meetings because everybody knew that he was a mole. And he still is. You cannot trust this guy. But it's not even about Steve Bannon. He's just a good example of somebody who just cannot keep his mask on. He's letting it slip because he's getting upset. Or maybe his deep state handlers are saying, hey, make a move because Trump is too popular in the Bronx or whatnot. And he talks a talk, right? A lot of people are easily had. I'm not here to convince all these people. Just like I exposed Trey Gowdy at the time, just everybody was in love with the Conehead, right? Oh, Trey Gowdy for FBI director, Trey Gowdy for Attorney General, Trey Gowdy for the Supreme Court. And I was like, are these people serious? And they're saying similar things about Bannon. Some of these people even said Bannon for VP. That'll never happen. But okay, I'm always kind of like the canary in the coal mine because I want to make sure that people have a heads up and just not to trust anyone but Trump. That's the most important thing. And of course, President Trump knows all of this. And it's a campaign, only a couple of months to go. So you gotta have everybody on board, including Bannon and his disciples, and also anyone else, even the populist nationalists, whoever they are. Just get everybody to vote. After that, you'll see it's all about conservatism, putting America first, and the real MAGA. And that is about uniting Americans and to save America, right? Trump is love. Trump is success.
A shadowy flight into the dangerous world of a man who does not exist. A young loner on a crusade to champion the cause of the innocent, the helpless, the powerless, in a world of criminals who operate above the law.